When this fucking beat drop, you already know what fucking time it is.
Daily Dose is on now. Check it out, y'all.
Hey guys, any updates? Do we have any winners yet? 2020 presidential election is a waiting game. We're actually waiting on Nevada. They said they were going to give us results at 9 o'clock this morning, and we haven't got anything. It's 10:46. Have you heard anything?
Nope, nada.
They're taking their time.
I called all the best drug dealers in Vegas, and none of them know what's going on.
Nobody.
So
You know what
if they don't know what's popping, if all the drug dealers and all the strippers don't know what's popping, I'm just going to wait.
Listen, I think it's funny that Vegas, all they do is count chips, count money, count bets, count all, and they're taking forever.
Oh, come on. Why? We know what it is. We know what it is.
Listen, I said this earlier, man. Like, you can get a drink at 9 a.m., at 7 a.m. in Vegas, but you can't tell us who won the presidential election.
We know what it is.
Hey, man, it is what it is.
Listen, as you know, Biden just needs Vegas to win, or Nevada, and Trump needs Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. I've been having issues with that all morning. I keep trying to say North Dakota. I don't know why.
They're very, very far away from each other.
I know, but it's NC, North Dakota,
North Kakalaki.
Lil Wayne and his now ex-girlfriend Denise allegedly broke up because of his support for Donald Trump. And who had to say something? 50 Cent had to throw his 2 cents in the whole relationship debacle. He said, dumped? You can't dump Lil Wayne. If you want to go, you can go. But somebody's waiting for the job. LOL.
True story.
Does this only happen
Lil Wayne
with
got him lined up.
Is it because he's Lil Wayne or just overall? I think overall, everybody knows who they're gonna.
Listen, whatever. Listen, Lil Wayne is a human being. All right, you know what, King? Take your time, King. Heal as you have to heal. Why do we assume that he's gonna jump into something else? Because he's Lil Wayne? Yeah, he probably gonna jump into.
Yeah,
he's gonna jump into something else.
I guarantee you, he has them lined up
for sure. And as well, he should. But he definitely though, like you can go ahead and smash all you want, but Lil Wayne on relationships, I think you should take a little break. Take a little break. Take some time to yourself.
Now, someone who was taking time off was Beyonce, because she actually revealed on the cover of British Vogue magazine that this 2020 really changed her. She said, I truly cherish this time with my family, and my new goal is to slow down.
Yeah, she should.
She said she's shedding stressful things out of her life.
I like that. Go ahead, B. When you're that successful and have accomplished that much, it's raising 3 young kids makes a lot more sense.
And when you're that rich, you have time to focus on yourself.
We can't take a time to slow down because we gotta get to the bag.
I got bills.
There's very little bags out there right now in the world.
COVID has been stressing me the hell out.
That's what I'm saying. But salute to Beyonce for finding the silver lining in this whole thing. And honestly, I think we all learned something from this. For me, I think like, yo, I'm more of a hermit now. I like being at home. I used to be on the go all the time, but if there's no money there for me now, I'd rather chill at the crib.
I miss it. I miss them bags.
I think 2020 definitely taught me that I'm dumber than I thought.
Oh, wow.
Hey, listen, moms out there, if you are helping, or dads, if you're helping your kids with your homework and you don't understand anything like me, you're like, dang, I did this in the 5th grade.
You know what?
I don't remember it.
That's true.
No, you're
Very
right.
true.
No, you're right. 2020 definitely taught me that. Taught me that you are dumber than I thought.
Let us know in the comments below.
No. How dumb is she? Oh, shit, you really did. You don't care what I think. Well,
Facts.
What about the opinion of someone who I get confused for all the time?
All the time.
I mean,
like
me and this guy.
You guys look like twins, man.
We are. Not only do we both act and we're both on TV. I mean, he's been on TV forever. I've been on TV just 10 times. But it's a pleasure to sit down with Omari Hardwick. Omari, good morning.
Oh, man, I appreciate y'all having me.
How many times do you
ladies,
get... Yeah, how many
ladies
times...
first, Melissa, Carisma, and then the teddy bear right
Yeah.
The teddy bear.
Omari, how many times do you get confused for me? Is it annoying at this point?
Yeah, it happens. It happens so much. That's why I added in that moniker teddy bear, because I think the last person that confused me, they was like, yo, teddy bear. And I was like, nah, you talking about the other one.
Right.
You talking about the other. It happens all the time.
He's
I
so
love
nice.
it.
He's really going along with it. I can't.
Listen,
cannot.
this man is a pro, right? But I'm very curious because in your line of work, I don't think you've stopped working, right? I don't think you've stopped moving. So how has 2020 changed Omari?
That's a great question. 2020 has changed Omari in the sense that I stopped working. So
you did.
Finally, I was able to stop working as we define it. You know what I mean? In terms of clocking in. going to a set. Hold on for a minute. Hold on. Okay, there you are. Going to a set, clocking in, trying to figure life out on set with the new castmates, the producers, the directors, what have you. I haven't had to do that, and so that was different for me. But I lost my security guard, man, at the top of 2020 after Kobe Bryant passed. He passed of COVID. So if memory serves me correct, there was that moment of going into the garage, and my daughter, who's every bit of almost 8 in 3 weeks, she caught me crying. It's rare for me to cry. I've lost so many people in my life, so death is definitely something I'm no stranger to. But I think it was just maybe a culmination of having 3 jobs post-Power. And then, of course, hanging out with Congressman Lewis, marching across the Pettus Bridge,
right.
Losing Kobe, still dealing with the culture or dealing in the culture with Nipsey's passing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden COVID is here. And then I lose my security guard at the very top of it. So I think it was almost just a culmination of all that, bro. And I was like, man, 2020 definitely adages went around, or those little tokens where 13 was an evil number or 666 was an even number. And then you see the joke where it says 2020 was like, nah, y'all ain't got nothing on me. So it kind of was that, but I got to be a papa. You know what I mean? I got to be home and tuck the kids in at night in ways that I normally don't get to do. So it came with its good things. I was creative. I reached out to Kevin Hart. We created a lot of things together, which you guys as a culture will see down the pipeline. And I think for all of us that are creative, you 3 know this. It just gave us more time to maybe execute some of those creative thoughts and goals that we had.
Yes.
Exactly.
And a lot of times we feel like we don't have time because we're so busy working, trying to figure out our next move, and we're going about. And even from having time to tucking your kids in and to being more creative, it says a lot. Well, Omari, I have a question because I read that you had spent some time in jail. Okay.
Yeah.
In order to prepare for your role as Ghost. How did you prepare for this role in Spell? Because, I mean, was there something that you had to do?
You're like, did you go back to jail?
No,
did you go to jail again?
No, I mean, were you reading certain, like, voodoo books? Were you looking into, like, these ghost hunter movies? How did you prepare for this role?
That's a great question, Melissa. I did not look at any of the movies that you aforementioned. You feel me? I didn't even look at the ones that were the obvious comparisons of that being Stephen King's Misery.
Right.
Or Eve's Bayou, or even Angel Heart with De Niro and Lisa Bonet, Mickey Rourke. I kind of stay away from not only like the storyline that is befitting or close enough to what I'm working on, but even the character. If there's a character that's somewhat similar, I could never look at Wesley Snipes, Nino Brown once I was prepping for Ghost. I could look at it prior, but once prepping, you want to do your own thing. Or,
right.
Jimmy Gandolfini, rest in peace, his Tony Soprano, or Idris's Stringer Bell. You want to create your own. So what I did get as a lob, it was kind of a Derek Fisher lob to Shaquille O'Neal, was the writer knew his stuff in terms of the voodoo hoodoo you speak of. He knew it pretty well, really well. Let me state that. And then our incredible director, and that being Mark Tonderay, what he did was he created a Bible for myself, for the incredible Loretta Devine, Lorraine Burroughs, who plays my wife, who's a British actress, different crew members, the guys the daughter and son who play our kids. All of us had a Bible to look at all of that you're breaking down. And we had to really look at it and dive in. And I went to music, I always kind of go to music. I made a song that's actually now on the soundtrack.
Okay.
Because
that's important.
It kind of gets you in a space, music, or just gets you in that rhythm of where your character needs to be. And by rhythm, I just mean spirit, space, what have you. And so I kind of just needed to get to the place where Loretta was going to really, pull the crap over my eyes and make me wonder about my existence. And she did that.
So listen, we had the pleasure of sitting down with Omari Hardwick, and the movie is Spell. All right, it's called Spell. It is out on platforms. I've seen it on Prime. I've seen it on Apple TV, and I think if I'm not mistaken, it's in some theaters, right? Like in certain parts that are
Yes,
open.
it's in limited theaters.
Right.
As Teddy said, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, limited theaters, select theaters, based on your region or city. And then, guys, you can see Teddy because he's my stand-in
Exactly.
in the movie. So
Hey, listen. You know what? Believe me, because I never lie. So I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. So I started watching Power with my girl. Now she has the biggest crush on you, so we stopped watching Power. Had to do it. So in order for me to make up with that, we knew Spell was coming out. We saw the trailer. So I made the mistake of trying to watch it last night. And it starts, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this in the daytime because
Yes.
I love scary movies. It's just like some things are too real. When they're too
Yeah.
real, I think that's when it makes it like this can really happen. So, you had any reservations about making the movie Spell? Like, do you believe in it? I know you call it hoodoo. I thought I was voodoo. Either or. We call it brujeria in
Yeah.
Latino culture.
Yeah.
Did you have any reservation before you got into this film? Like, because this kind of sells it.
I mean, like most of you, like you three, tell me if I'm off in speaking this, but I was raised Christian. And, there were certain family members that were of the Islamic faith, but 90% of the family, 98% of the family is Christianity. Or is that of Christianity. So for me, it was almost like, and I've said this on several interviews, but I'll say it to you guys differently. I just always knew that every single leader of any respective religious belief, they walked and hung out with the killers, the healers, and the dealers. They really did. And so I kind of came to this career thinking no differently. I thought, well, yeah, you can ask yourself, what would Jesus do? But in reality, quote unquote, but in reality, at times you'd say equally, what would these people who were being taught what they should do? And so I kind of came to it in a little bit more of an embracing of maybe that thing that would make certain actors perhaps afraid to really go down that road, because I do embrace playing the parts that are maybe confusing, that we've been told to stay away from growing up. Voodoo and hoodoo are both in it, but it's an amalgamation of sorts. Hoodoo, as we know, is steeped, as you know, in African ancestry, and then, of course, coming over. On the Henrietta Marie and every other boat that they came over on, they had to create a belief system, a medicinal reality to make the community heal when needed to be healed, make the community better when we needed to better the community. And so objectively, it wasn't all that bad. Mark Tonderay said from the gate, it goes to a place where people with power manipulate certain things, as you know. And so someone with the ability of what Loretta's character had an ability, she thinks she's doing it for good reasons. And she had to embrace that to play it properly. What I had to embrace was not poking fun in this character as Marky T. Woods of anyone who is historically connected to that or anyone who presently gets down with it. So I can't, you don't want to poke fun of it. You want to really almost play it in a way of like, make Loretta the crazy nut, in my character, make her character crazy. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to believe what she believes.
Right.
And you see, when you watch the movie, her whole thing was, if you believe it, it happens. And so as soon as Marky T. Woods, my character, started to believe it, bro, Teddy, it took us on a turn. And that's not necessarily one that he wanted to be taken on.
And I like, before I do something, I do my research, right? And I don't really listen to reviews, right? I'm more of a like, all right, let me go take a look at it. Let me see what the people are saying, because the people that don't get paid to do it, and they do it because they genuinely love it, like you can see it. So I went on Twitter, I went to the blogs, and people love this movie, man. Like they love, they love a lot, everything about it. Obviously, your acting, they love the premise, they love the black excellence, and I want to get into that later on. Like, do you, as an actor, and I don't want to limit you just an actor, you're so many other things, but do you pay attention to reviews? Do they still matter? Do Rotten Tomatoes and all those reviews still matter?
They never have mattered to me.
Never.
So still is probably, not even, that's a misnomer. But I do understand getting to a place where I now am. And I remember, Sway asked Loretta, if you could tell Omari anything, what would you tell him? Or if you could ask him anything, what would you ask him? And they played it for me. And it was that's one of the greatest reviews ever, man. It made me cry. I got choked up. Yeah. And the review, quote unquote, is not necessarily about the character played alongside her character for 8 weeks in South Africa. It was more about, so where does Omari go from here? What she decided to ask was, if he was in front of me, I would ask him, what is he thinking about producing? What is his slate in terms of projects he wants to create and produce, allowing for other people to work? Because her point was, that's his brain. Like, he's got that thing. So, Teddy, you asked a really great question, because as I get more into that place where even 50 Cent aided me in learning more about the business side of it, as I graduate to that space, that's when you start to think about not necessarily the reviews, but you might peek a little bit more at them from the producer side of it, because you start to understand that, hey, even though it's called show business, let's be honest, it's business show. It really is business show. Okay. So as an artist, no, I haven't ever really looked at that. I've obviously been forced to look at the comments and hear what people have to say about the work, but I try to stay away from it and just dive in. And if I leave it all on the field and it feels like I felt it, then I would imagine that the majority of people equally would feel what I feel.
And the people love it. I mean, the people love it. The movie's called Spell. Omari plays a guy named, is it Mark or Marquise? It's Marquise, right?
Marquise
The premise is crazy. He's in a plane crash. He lands in the land in a place that it's like, all right, it's a little different. And Loretta Devine, I mean, absolutely looks like she killed her character. She plays this woman who dives into the hoodoo.
She's a great
like
actress.
I said, anything. Yeah, she's a great actress. Anytime that it's something real, that's when you feel it the most. Anytime you're like, this could happen.
Yeah.
And if you ever been to that part of the country, New Orleans and such, like know, this is life. This is real life.
That is their real life. And what's crazy is in Loretta's, in some of her statements and interviews, Teddy, Carisma, and Melissa, she stated and said it dope. It was dope the way she said. She said, I'm on this earth for a very long time in character. Okay, the character's on the earth way longer than 100 years. So they don't really state that, but when you think about the dive into the books, once I start to find the books, I do the math, and you might not have caught it, but I do the math on it, and I go, oh my God, they've been here for 100-some years, all of them. So what they're doing, to your point, this stuff is real. And what they're doing is they're taking body parts from different people, and they're able to elongate their life, therefore, and that is absolutely scary. And I will say this, you said it when you said, we'll touch that, but I want to touch it now. We got to shout out first and foremost, and not that he's the only one, but Jordan Peele did a lot for that door opening for us to be able
that's right.
to be in this genre, to be seen in this light. I never wanted to be a part of just horror. It's the horror psychological thriller, to your point, Teddy, that makes it more scary. Hannibal Lecter, when you see that and you see what Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster did in that movie, you go, there's actual serial killers. That's a real thing. Right. So for us to be seen as afraid in this way that we're afraid, and never necessarily having been given that shot to show that level of vulnerability and fear, and look at how broken I am in it. Nobody's seen Omari that level of broken. And that to me can only be in this genre, to see me that level of broken and being tortured at that fashion. So it was shot beautifully. You're looking at these beautiful colors. It looks
great, yeah.
It looks, it was shot so beautiful, but it's juxtaposed to like a real dark reality. So that was kind of cool, very humbling.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out, obviously we're Latino on this side, and we're still hoping to get to that level where where we're respected and the movies are made around us and not making fun of us, right? But yeah, you brought up the films like that Jordan Peele has created, and those moments for us. It got to the point where, first of all, I'm glad that you decided to be part of this genre, because I feel like the genre is coming back up. And second, it's a beautiful thing when I see you and I see Loretta in the trailer, and I don't think, oh, this is going to be a dope black film. It's like, no, this is a dope film, period.
Right. Oh, I love that.
I love that it's gotten to that point. And so salute to Jordan Peele and everybody who came before you, but you're carrying the torch now. You're giving us these moments.
And we feel honestly, Teddy, that we're carrying it as black, conscientious black actors. Right. Obviously politically correctly stating that being actresses included. For me, it's always been an onus to equally represent the Latino community. Brown and black
Come on
have
now.
to figure that.
We here,
and
baby.
They always have had to figure it out. And I've been very confused in my 40 years on this earth as to why that hasn't been figured out as much. But from my little small piece of place that God has allowed me to be on this earth, there will never be a moment where I'm not representing the African diaspora, where I'm not representing the Latin American diaspora, and that diaspora as it speaks to y'all's ancestors on that side of the pond. There's never going to be that reality that I'm not equally about that story being told. And so hopefully there does become this reality where an actual absolute Latino director of Spielberg's level of life becomes that, where we get that Scorsese that is of Latin race, where we get the Jordan Peele that's of Latin race. I mean, you get the Ava DuVernay that's of Latino race. Like, this is what we want. We've never not wanted that. Look at Power. Look how many people of the Latin diaspora we put in. I mean, that was purposefully done,
Right. But even with Power, I was going to ask you, like, I see that obviously you keep on growing, and I love watching you in films like Sorry to Bother You and all these other things. How hard was it to grind out of that character? Because sometimes when you play a legendary character on TV, it's hard to like really move forward, right? Because everyone's, how many times do people say, who shot you? And you're like, nobody, I'm still here.
I'm right here.
Right. So how hard was that?
I think the operative word, you only use 2 letters, and I made it a word because it is a word, but you said TV. And I think operatively, when you think about it from that standpoint, Teddy, you make a great point. I have started to figure out, and I did it after actually my makeup artist is in the room with me right now, and she was one of the 20 people that we had invited out for a little showing of Spell at a respective theater real near. And at one point, bro, I talked to them afterwards, and I thought, and I was in the other theater watching a grandpa comedy with the kids, just trying to remind them that their priority and Papa's career is not. But when I came back to watch the end of Spell, I said, if it wasn't TV, there might not be that reality, because you would have seen the Godfather template, the Scarface template, Nino Brown in New Jack City. You would have seen Power as a movie. Power's a movie when we were growing up, when the 4 of us were growing up.
Right.
But now it's such a different landscape because it's being that it's a TV show. Now it gives you that moment where you are invading people's living rooms every night for that many years.
Yeah.
If it's just a movie, you probably wouldn't actually be asking me that question. And it just came to me, bro, in the last 2 weeks where I was like, that was probably my only concern, is that not only is it in the TV landscape, but it's also coming with social media. Yeah. That wasn't around at a point where everyone had a microphone and, you can play a character that makes people feel good. That's cool. But if it's at a big screen, then it's gone in 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
And then no one had a microphone. So it's having done it as long as I did. And then equally being a human. So do I miss it? Sure, I miss it. I'm human. But I do know that when I say I'm human, God has different plans. And even if that's via it going one way in a way that maybe you don't want it to go as the actor, that shit is above your pay grade. So you just show up and do the work. That's all you can do.
It's above my pay grade. Listen, you went from, like you said, TV to movies now, and then you mentioned like producing, and you also mentioned doing a lot of creative work with Kevin Hart.
Woo!
What is it? Can you give us?
Yeah, man. We're family at this point.
Just like a sprinkle, a little bit of
don't worry.
info.
Nobody listening. It's okay.
You feel me? It would be it better be people listening, Teddy.
Oh, you're right. I meant like,
Teddy, I'm gonna take your microphone if ain't nobody listening.
Right. Ain't nobody listening. They better be.
You feel me? It's gonna be we'll live in that world of that which, I don't know. An acting coach told me a long time ago, I'm gonna share this with you 3. I haven't said this in an interview. I don't think so. I probably said it in conversation, but she said something very astute. She was like, yo, if it walks and talks like a duck, it better be a duck. And so and I never forget that. And I'm like, can it quack differently? And she's like, well, you'll figure that out, but it's got to be a duck. And it was really dope when she said it. And I think about it, like when you asked that question, for the 3 of y'all to ask that, and I hear you in your hopes, Melissa, that it does still have within it the duck that we know Kevin to be, which is a comical genius. I know that you're asking, hoping that the duck of what Omari is known to be, which is more of a dramatic actor, it has that to it. Absolutely, but we're sort of creating a world where we're going to blur those lines a bit.
Ooh.
So it is a duck.
It's a duck.
Quack, quack.
It's a duck, but we're definitely going to get down where there's projects where I'm in it and I'm exec producing with Kevin, but then he's not in it. Then there's projects we're producing together that he's absolutely in that I don't know if I'm in, or then there's projects that we both are in and producing. And then, of course, we have some reality opportunities as well that we're just trying to put it together between Heartbeat Productions and my production company of Brave Life and ODEA and Smack Entertainment. We're going to get down and we're going to create a world, man. And then I'll come back and I'll talk to you 3 about it.
Yeah, because
we'll switch places.
Yeah,
you know what, Teddy?
Yeah.
Me and you can switch places because, people already, they confuse us. So
I think me and Melissa will be cool with that.
No
me and
one will
Melissa
ever
are cool
tell.
with that.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome here
Charisma,
whenever.
Just one
man.
time, Teddy. Just one time.
All right, look.
Once.
Listen. First of all, thank you for being so transparent. Second of all, thank you for confusing the hell out of me. I'll be confused for a couple days now. Duck and duck. But a couple questions. You obviously have worked alongside 50. How is 50 really a troll in real life, or is he just playing a character
Is it all
that
business?
confuses
Tell us the
like?
truth.
Is this because you know him, right? So is 50 really that much of a troll in real life?
No, I think in real life, no. I think that in real life, no. But what I think is that he is not above being a little drama in real life. He's not above that. He likes it a little bit. He don't mind it. He definitely was the cat that I grew up with who's giving you the dozens on the front porch all day long. And you're like, nigga, it's past the street lights and that nigga's still going. Like, nah, nigga, I ain't finished with you yet.
Oh, man.
So, you know, I gotta love it about him. And equally my tribe, you know, they appreciate him as much as I do. So no, in real life, he's not that. He's a brilliant businessman.
Of course.
And some of that shit is absolutely connected to that. So
But
I got nothing but respect for him, and the fact that I definitely grew up with people that do it that way. But look how much 50 has made while doing it that way.
But either, like you said, that dude that stays capping, like sometimes you gotta square up with him. So I'm just saying, like, did you ever have to square up on Fifth? Like, just, bah.
Oh my God.
No, but I've definitely had to, you know, I mean, you know, it's two alpha men.
Yeah.
You do the math on that. I definitely had to be like, 5, come on, bro. And he'll be like, my bad, all right.
What is, you talk about him being a good businessman, and I'm always trying to pick at people's brains and learn. If you can give one set of advice that either you learned from 50 or that you learned along the way being a businessman yourself, what would it be?
Frugality. You know, and the differentiation between that, Melissa, and cheap. You know, he's not cheap, but he's frugal. And you know, he understands that at the end of the day, and he said this to me in the podcast, you know, when I interviewed him in the Poetics podcast, he said, I remember the moment when, you know, we as the kids in the house, uncles, aunts, cousins included, of course, after his mother passed, you know, his grandma Beulah, rest in peace, and his grandfather, they didn't have certain finances that could do certain things for him. And he said he remembers the moment of going, I'm gonna change this reality. And what I've learned from him, Melissa, is that in changing that reality, it means sustaining that reality. There's many people who change their family's tax bracket, but they can't sustain it. And he has figured out how to sustain it. He has diversified. He has delegated. I could say that, Melissa. There's wisdom in delegation. You got to figure out who to delegate to. The whole deal with vitamin water, you know, people wonder, like, was it 50? Was it not? Well, yeah, it's 50, because if he figured out how to delegate, it's still 50.
Right.
So he has really taught me that, and like, not to be afraid, you know, to really take risk and put yourself out on a limb. What he always says is, I'll never invest in that which I don't believe will skyrocket. And there's a lot of people from the artsy perspective who go, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. And then it might flop or it might skyrocket, but there's that massive fat line in between. He doesn't rock like that. He's like, if I believe in it, it's gonna go.
I love it.
And that's an interesting level of not only confidence, but of exactly, Teddy, but also of risk taking at the same time, because you really don't know. You can say that you know, but you really don't know. And so for him to come with that moxie and that audacity, it's, look what it's done for him. So I've learned a lot from him from a business perspective.
I love it. I love it. Listen, enough about 50. Whatever. We talk about him all the time on the radio. Right now we're sitting down with you. I guess that the final thing is, for those who will look to just kind of cuddle up with their boo thing this weekend, sell them on why they need to watch Spell. Let them know from the guy himself. Why should we go watch Spell?
History lesson first and foremost. Always good for us to learn history. Again, especially for Black and brown people. Let's say that. Always good for us to get closer to who we are. And a lot of that is who we are. That which we talked about, the hoodoo, the voodoo. A lot of that stuff matters in our communities and has in the past. First and foremost, that a great story. You know, it's not just that. It's like around the history is this awesome story, and not just the run-of-the-mill crashing of a plane. Yeah, there's a plane crash, but the story that follows is really incredible. And then I would say, you got to go check out Owen Loretta, man. You never get to see Owen Loretta in this space. You never seen Omari in a horror psychological thriller. And Loretta's played in it, but she never played the mean badass in it. And she's playing it. And so us getting down like that is cool to watch.
Well, listen, it's such a pleasure to talk to you this morning. I hope this is not the last time. Obviously, ladies want me out and they want you here. So whatever, man. At the end of the day, it's such a pleasure to see you continue to kill it and to grow. And like I said, we don't just want to limit you as an actor, because you're so much more. So with that being said, on whichever avenue you choose to surprise us next, we're gonna be here waiting for you. So just know Power 106 is your home. Go watch Spell, everybody. Please go get scared.
And we're available if you need any extras or for whatever. Here we are.
I don't even like scary movies, but guys, let's go. I'm gonna go watch it. Come on, we're gonna
Let's
support.
Go watch this weekend. It's Power 106. Omari Hardwick.
Charisma, Melissa, Teddy. Thank y'all so much, man.
Thank you.
Family. Thank you to the whole team. Be safe.
Thank you.
When this fucking beat drop, you already know what fucking time it is.
Now, check it out, y'all.